The Four Fundamentals of Ball Flight, Chapter 3, is all about centered contact. Now, this is an area that we absolutely, positively have to understand before we go to the range next time. If we hit the ball in the absolute center of the club face, then everything we learned in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, that's all correct. But if we miss, if we hit the toe, the heel, high on the club face or low on the club face, that's going to drastically change our result. It's going to change the way the ball launches, and it's going to change the spin on the ball. Now with an iron, when we strike a ball with an iron, if we hit slightly toward the toe, that is going to open the club face slightly. And that's going to result in a lack or a loss of some energy. So we're going to lose ball speed. But it's not going to change the actual direction the ball flies by too much. Maybe just a slight bit, but probably not even noticeable. So a toe hit with an iron or a heel hit with an iron, same thing. It's just going to kind of turn the club a little bit. We're not going to get a maximum energy transfer. It's going to be probably a pretty similar shot, just not quite as far. With a wood club, however, we've got some major factors at play here. And they're good factors, but we really do need to understand them. Every shot we hit, we have to understand how those factors come into play. So a ball with a wood club, let's say for a driver, for instance. If I strike a ball on the toe of my driver, that ball has the potential to start as much as 5 degrees right of where I've actually got the center of the club face aimed. So let's say I do everything right, and I make a swing, and I get the club face aimed directly at the target at impact, and my swing path is perfect, and this ball should launch dead straight, fly dead straight, and just have a decent amount of backspin. If that ball contacts the toe, because the way the driver is curved, it can start and will start to the right of the target. If it contacts the heel, it will start to the left of the target. If it hits high on the face, it's going to start higher or launch higher. And if it hits low on the face, it's going to launch lower. So when you swing and you hit a shot and it launches straight to the right, we can't automatically assume that our swing path or our face angle influenced that ball. We have to really pay attention and know, did that ball strike on the toe? And I'll talk about a way to monitor. And in the ebook, I go into a couple ways to monitor center contact. But this is a really important factor. Now, gear effect is fairly complicated, and it's way easier to describe on camera than it would be in the ebook, and that's why I kind of saved that for this video. Gear effect is what happens when the golf ball hits off center. So if the ball hits the center of the face stays very stable because the center of gravity of the golf club is near the center, and that's where we want it. But when the ball hits near the toe, for instance, the club's going to turn, just like it does for an iron. But because the fact that the driver and all of the wood clubs have kind of a rounded face that is called bulge, that change of angle from heel to toe, the ball, when it contacts the toe, it's going to start to the right. But the club turning, when the ball contacts the club and the club turns, that's actually going to cause the ball to pick up a little bit of side spin or tilt the axis in a way that's going to put a little bit different spin on the ball. So when the ball hits on the toe, because the club turns, that's going to add a little bit of draw spin, or it's going to tilt the axis of the golf ball so that it might actually have a chance to draw. If the ball hits on the heel, it's going to do the opposite. Because of the way the driver's shaped and because of the way the club is turning through impact, the ball is going to pick up some fade spin, or it's going to reduce any draw spin that you might have. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that every shot that hits on the heel is going to fade. It just means that it's going to give it more fade spin than it would if it hit off the center. So you can still hit a ball that just goes straight to the left off the heel. But if you had a perfectly straight swing path, or your club were coming in directly toward the target, square club face, center contact, great path, and the ball hit on the heel, because of the design of the club, because of gear effect, the ball is going to pick up. It's going to start left because the face is curved. So it's going to start to the left, but it's also going to pick up a little bit of fade spin. So it's going to start left and then curve back to the right. Another one, again, if it's a perfect platform, the club's coming through directly square to the target, great swing path. If the ball hits on the toe there, it's going to start to the right because the face is curved, and it's going to pick up a little bit of draw spin. So it will start right and curve back to the target. Now that's cool. That's the reason the club is designed that way, so that if we do miss-hit it on the toe or the heel, it actually corrects our ball flight. It doesn't always correct our ball flight, but it is something that we should know for certain on every shot with a wood club. Center contact is really, really important. Now again, monitoring center contact, like I said in the ebook, we've got a couple different ways to do it. We can put some tape on the face so that every shot we can see if the ball hit on the heel or the toe or high or low. We can put a Sharpie mark on the golf ball. On a range ball, you can draw a little black Sharpie dot on the golf ball, and when you swing every single time, you'll get that feedback. You can just look at your club face and see where that dot is, and you'll know if it hit on the heel or the toe or the center. Now, as with the heel and the toe, we can also reduce or create spin by hitting it low on the face or high on the face. And the curve of the driver or the wood club from the sole to the top line, that's called roll. And it has almost the exact same amount. Almost every club has the exact same amount of roll and bulge. And it's about an 11-degree difference. So the heel might point 5.5 degrees left of the target. The absolute furthest most point on the heel might point 5.5 degrees left of the target. The center of the driver points straight, and the toe then would point 5.5 degrees to the right. So off the top of the driver, you could have a ball that started way up, if you contact it way up high on the face, not on the crown, but way up high on the face, so it still launches on the face. That ball could launch 5 degrees or 5.5 degrees higher than a ball that hit dead center on the face, and a ball that hits low, way at the bottom of the club, is going to launch as much as 5 degrees or 5.5 degrees lower than the ball that hit off the center. So that's why a low shot, when you swing and you hit the ball and you feel like you hit it on the bottom of the club and you see it fly out low, that's why it flies out low. But just like the heel and toe contacts, there's some spin stuff happening. So the ball that hits high on the club face with the driver is going to actually have less backspin than the ball that hits right off the center, because the club is tilting. When the ball makes contact with the club face, it tilts, and because it tilts back slightly, that takes some backspin off of it. And the same thing happens, or the opposite occurs, when the ball hits low on the driver face. The driver is actually going to tilt down, and as the club tilts down, that's going to add backspin. So again, that's a corrective measure. A ball that hits low on the club face is going to launch very low, but that added backspin is going to help it to rise up in the air. And the ball that launches high off the face is going to launch higher, but it's going to come out with less backspin, so it's not going to just keep going up and up and up. So those are the really important things that you absolutely have to know about center contact. With an iron, we're going to lose energy and it's just going to come up a little bit short. But with a wood, any wood club is going to have roll and bulge, and we absolutely have to understand and be able to monitor how the ball strikes the club face and what then caused the ball to do what it did.